What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. One of my sponsors, Seal Supplements, link and discount code down in the description. And if you've got $5 deposit, Webull has $11 worth of free stock to give you. All you have to do is sign up with my link. And I'll tell you, this morning, I woke up, I looked at Twitter, and I saw Pavin, and I also saw Eric posting about these Madden 22 player cards. And I thought to myself, hey, $1 a card, I'll pre-order Madden if they're free. And I initially saw Eric's tweet before I saw this one. And it's interesting that obviously these are partners with EA and they're doing their best to promote the product. But Eric's said EA and Panini teamed up to make these X Factor cards for the top 50 players in Madden 22. Happy to be able to add these to my growing collection. Pre-order Madden 22 here. And I wasn't the only one that thought the cards were included with the pre-order. So you can actually go back and look at the tweet. People are like, Eric, where are these cards? But, to that point, I love the fact that EA often goes and does things productive with the community, creates these cards. I wish they would make these available for everyone, not just, the influencers within the game. But to get back over to the game and talk about where we are, my last two videos here, Madden EA Dev, we couldn't afford to improve our game. Madden 22 franchise mode, EA admits they can't fix it. These obviously talked about Clint saying they didn't have the assets for the referees, whether that was financial or computing. And then later, EA came out in this blog and said, hey, we can't get, for whatever reason, our salary cap's correct in terms of signing free agents, so we're just going to edit the amount of money teams actually have in real life. Brings me to this point. As we go further and further into the concept of this game is just going to be bad. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, it's there. The game is done. It's coming out next week. And every red flag that we've never had before, mind you, is right in your face. This is the biggest one. This is something I never thought I would speak about. So, player movement. One of the priorities with Madden and EA and how the game feels, animation dependency, weight, momentum, all those things. And I understand, it's very subjective. The game is going to feel different to everyone. Your controller, your console, they may even factor into how the game feels. But as you can see, there was a couple different key topics they took away from the beta. Number one, player movement is too slow. Number two, player movement is authentic, don't change it. Number three, there should be a bigger difference between big player versus small player in speed. Completely agree with this, okay? You're always going to have people that say the game's too slow, the game's too fast, don't change it. So let's get that out of the way. Let's focus on there should be a difference between big players and small players in speed. I think this comes down to physics, weight and momentum. 86 speed should not be 86 speed for a lineman versus a wide receiver. I think we can all agree. The dev note, though, it just takes me back. With a lot of players experiencing the current console generation for the first time, the feedback towards next-gen player movement was very polarizing. They've used this word 2 years in a row. It's like they just learned it. For the second year in a row, after many years on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, we know how big that adjustment is for players, and here we go. But we are confident that a more realistic movement system that is using data straight from the NFL is what's best for our players and for the future of Madden NFL. This is them saying, in a very polite way, we don't care about your feedback. Because we think we know what's best for the game, just like we thought we knew what was best with franchise mode, and when you created a hashtag, just like we thought DJ Khaled, Snoop Dogg were the best, just like we thought SpongeBob Stadium was the best, just like we thought Long Shot was the best, just like we thought Face of the Franchise was the best, just like we thought The Yard was the best, just like we thought Gear for the Yard is what you needed. All the things they've added to this game that have collectively panned, that the community never asked for. Now they have the audacity, the cyber balls, if you will, to sit here and say to you, we don't care about your feedback. Because we're confident we can make the best game. And not only that, they surmise this, we will continue the quest to make the game as real as being on the field. Let me just have a moment of silence for the stupidity that was that line. Sean, I don't know how they market God of War to you. I really don't. But I guarantee you, if God of War came out and said, listen, We don't care about our gamers' feedbacks. We're going to rely on mythology to make the best God of War game. And however you feel about it is how you're going to feel about it. You know, if they did that, if any other gaming company did that, if they took this ex-Bethesda employee here and created something that said, we're dismissing your feedback from the community because we're going to rely on our own logic to make the game better, even though our track record is awful in improving this game. A lot of people would look for another product. You know, a lot of people would say, fine, if that's how this first-person shooter is going to treat me, I'll just go find another first-person shooter to play. If that's how this racing game is going to treat me as a customer, I'll just go find another racing game. EA knows that gamers don't have that capacity because, again, they're paying for the NFL license. This is them telling you right to your face, we're not going to use any of your feedback because we think the AWS system with the data is what's going to create the best movement system. Even when we know, go back and check, Clint Oldenburg sat there and told us they can't even use this data for the line play. This data that they're promoting, that they're hyping here, like the cards that they're showing to everyone to send out on social media, what they're hyping here doesn't even impact the core of every single football play you've ever seen. Clint Oldenburg, a former NFL lineman, told us they can't use the AWS data on offensive and defensive line interactions, and yet here they are saying that it is going to create the most realistic movement system by taking this data, and that's what we're going to do going forward. No, it doesn't, EA. You know what does? An actual system that equates from momentum, speed, physics, inertia. Right? The real world doesn't need Amazon Web Service data to run a football game. Not one person in training camp went to their coach and said, Coach, I got burned in coverage because of Amazon Web Services. I don't have the data in my head and feet to prevent this touchdown. No. A player was faster than me. A player was more athletic than me. A player made a better cut. And I couldn't react as fast because my weight and momentum factored into how I was covering him. This player is larger than me, so I naturally had a harder time covering him. None of that factors in to this. That's what we're telling you, EA, how to make your game better, what our expectations are. But what are you telling us? We don't care. We're doing it our way. And you know what your way got you? A 0.2 user score. And you know what it's going to do again? Very likely the same thing. And I'm going to be here every day to remind you how awful this game is through my clips and yours in the week with more commentary.